Hello there. Today we are going to be solving rational equations now, and we'll use some of our tools that we've learned with adding and subtracting and um, checking for extraneous solutions. We're going to be looking at domain restrictions. So also just make sure you understand when we're solving rational equations, there's a chance we'll get extraneous solutions because most of our rational functions have domain restrictions. So when we have domain restrictions, that's where our extraneous solutions are going to show up. So we still have to check our answers. I mean, just because we should, but just don't forget to do your domain restrictions because that when we get to the bottom, if you get one of your domain restrictions, it's automatically an extraneous solution. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to work with proportions. The first, I don't know how many we got here. First 5 here are just doing cross multiplying. Easy peasy. We will get straight with those first, and then we'll start using adding and subtracting with common denominators. So let's first do a domain restriction. We are going to, sorry, I couldn't find my pen. X is not equal to -3. We're going to cross multiply. There's going to be a lot of factoring involved in these. And it doesn't matter which side you do, so you just cross multiply. I'm going to go ahead and write that. All right, so we get 28 equals x squared plus 3x. Set it equal to 0. Subtract 28. Factor and solve. This is something that you will do all the time. Plus 7 and minus 4, right? So we get 4 and a -7. Notice how that does not come up on our domain restriction. So that pretty much tells you that these are the solutions. I am not going to spend the time in the video checking these for you. And you can use your calculators to help you check the answers on your homework and so forth. But just know for an assessment, you'll need to plug those in and check them. But I will tell you right now, the only extraneous solutions that you get is from the domain restriction. So it's kind of like a spoiler alert. All right, cross multiply. Didn't do the domain restriction, sorry. X cannot be -4 or -3. Whoops, I'll just do that. Okay, FOIL this out. Again, I'm going kind of fast on some of this. Plus 7x. Okay, we need to get this set equal to 0. Subtract 2x squared. Subtract 8x. Okay, we get 3 and a -2, and both of those work. Okay, number 3, x cannot be 4 or -1/2. Distribute. Get everything over to one side. Since this is a -x squared, I'll get everything over to the right. Subtract 4x. We'll get to the hard stuff soon. Soon enough. The next page is where the hard stuff starts. All right. Cross multiply. Let's get everything. We have an x to the third, so why don't we get everything over to the left? Add x to the third. Subtract 4x squared. Let's take out a GCF. And notice how our domain restriction was 4, and here is 4. This is an extraneous solution. Okay, cross multiply. Maybe I'll distribute that first. I don't know. It's fine. All right, let's see. It looks like I need to get everything. I'm going to get everything over to the right. So I have a positive x squared. So this is positive 4x squared minus 24x. If I add 16, that's plus 32. Let's factor that. Let's take out a 4. I did not do the domain restriction. X does not equal plus or minus 2. You needed to factor the bottom of that, and you will see that 2 and a negative 2 are domain restrictions. Sorry, I should have done that first. And as you can see, 2 is an extraneous solution because it's in our domain restrictions, so our only answer here is 4. All right, so that method of cross multiplying can only be done if you have simple fractions on either side of an equal sign. As soon as you start adding or subtracting and have multiple terms, multiple fractions, you're going to have to do a different method. So let's take a look at that. You're going to find the least common denominator first. Multiply each term on both sides by that least common denominator. And basically, your denominators are going to drop off. They disappear. I'm going to show you why that is. Maybe not on this first one, but I'll show you why that happens. Okay, so I see 5, 3, and 15. You have two fractions added up. Now, yes, I think some of you would probably find a common denominator here. Like if I just gave this to you, you would probably find a common denominator and then you'd cross multiply. But I want to show you a different method because you have to do the different method when we get to the others. The common denominator is 15. So we would multiply everything through by 15, okay, all the way through. So technically you get 30 over 5 plus 30 over 3 equals 15x over 15. And if we, sorry, this is kind of, I don't actually, you know what? I apologize. This is not really how I wanted to show you this on this first example. That's fine. I'll finish it, but I'm going to show it a different way. 6, what do we got? 30 over 3 is 10. What did I just do? Common 50. Oh, that's not 15x. I don't know what I just did. Okay, I need to start all over. I kind of got myself wrapped up in changing my mind, and then I messed that up. Let's try that again. Common denominator is 15. And you're going to multiply every term by 15, and the denominators disappear. So 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. 15 goes into 15 1 time times x. So what happens is that you get this denominators to go away, and you'll have no more fractions. And there's no domain restriction, so this is your solution. But you could put this together and cross multiply, but they're going to get a lot harder, and you're not going to want to do that. You definitely want to have the least common denominator. All right, let's try one that has some variables in the denominator. All right, first of all, let's do x cannot be 0 here. All right, so the common denominator of x, 3, and x is 3x. If I distribute through to each of these fractions, you're going to get things that cancel. Like the x's here cancel, and you get 6. Here the 3's cancel, and you get 5x. Here the x's cancel, and you get 21. And so you now have a nice little linear equation here. I'll do that again. X goes into 3x 3 times. Like when you do this fraction times 3x, the x's cancel and you do 3 times 2. Here, the 3's are going to cancel. You're left with a 5x. Here, the x's cancel. You're left with 21. 4, 8, and x is 8x. Okay, the x's are going to cancel. You get 8. 4 goes in that 2x times, so that's 6x. 4 goes into 8 twice. 2 times 3 is 6, and then you have an x. And here you're just going to have an x. Least common denominator of 5x and 10 is 10x. Okay, x's cancel, 60. 5 goes in that, 2x times. 2x times 7x is 14x squared. 10 goes into that, the 10's are going to cancel, and you're left with x squared. Okay, so let's get our x squares on the other side. You get 60 equals 15x squared. Divide by 15. And you get x's plus or minus 2. You can write that all out. If you want to write 60x over x minus 70x squared over 5 equals 10x squared over 10, and then reduce them, you can do that. 5 goes into 70 14 times, 10 goes into 10. So you can do that if you want. I'm just trying to show you how the denominators just disappear. But you do have to do, you have to realize there's something left generally when you divide. Okay, put this over 1. X cannot equal 2. The common denominator of x minus 2, 1, and x minus 2 is x minus 2. So this fraction doesn't change. This one, you're going to have 7 times x minus 2, right? Here, here, here. Here, the x minus 2's cancel, and we get a plus 10. I'll just bring the 7 over, it's fine. Uh-oh, we get x equals 2, and that was a domain restriction. So this is an extraneous solution. And since there were no other solutions, this one has no real solutions. Okay, so these get a little bit harder here. Let's get to number 11 here. You're going to have to factor the bottom of this. I'm having a terrible time with my pen. This is x minus 1, x plus 1. Put this over 1. So the common denominator of all 3 of these fractions is x minus 1 and x plus 1. All right, so domain restrictions, x cannot be plus or minus 1. All right, so we have x plus 1, x minus 1. So when I go to distribute here to all 3 of these, I already have the x plus 1, so I just need to do 3x times x minus 1. Here I have them both, so that's just 12. Denominator cancels. Here, I'm going to have to do all of it. And I might even go back and write that as x squared minus 1, just because I know I have to distribute the 2, so might as well just change that x plus 1, x minus 1 back to x squared minus 1. It'll be easier to distribute. 3x squared minus 3x. All right, let's get our x squares on the same side. Let's subtract 2x squared. And let's see, that's going to give me 10. So subtract 10. And those did not appear in our domain restrictions. And again, you should always check your answers, but use a calculator when you do that, just to check to make sure you have the right answer. All right, number 12, we're going to go ahead and factor those denominators. Okay, so common denominator of x and x minus 3, x and x minus 3 is x minus 3. That's the least common denominator. All three of these are going to go into that. Okay, first fraction, no change. Here I have an x, so I have to do 4 times the x minus 3, right? These x's are going to cancel. Here, the x minus 3's are going to cancel, and you're left with an x. Oh, didn't do domain restriction. 3 and 0. And once again, my answer that I got is one of our restrictions. So this is no real solutions again. That's the only really way that's going to show up, if it shows up in your domain restrictions. Okay, factor the bottom here. We have x minus 3 and x plus 3. All right, so domain restrictions, x cannot be plus or minus 3. All right, so the least common denominator of x minus 3, x plus 3, and x minus 3, x plus 3 is x minus 3 and x plus 3. I just read it over here. All right, so here the x minus 3's would cancel, so I have x times x plus 3. Here the x plus 3's cancel, so I'm going to have 2x times x minus 3. And this one doesn't change because I have them both. Do some foiling or distributing. Subtract 18. Factor out of 3. And this one is extraneous because I have it as a domain restriction. -2 is your solution. All right, this one has a lot of foiling and some bigger numbers than you're used to. Put this 1 over 1. Common denominator, let's come up here. X cannot be 0 or -5/2, right? -5/2 and 0. All right, the common denominator here is all that, 3x and 2x plus 5. All right, so here I have a 2x plus 5. What I don't have is the 3x. So I'm going to have 3x. This is a lot of multiplying and combining like terms on this problem. This one, it's all of it. You're going to need to do all of that. Common denominator. Here I have the 3x. So yes, you're going to have to FOIL that out. Okay, now take your time with that foiling. I'm combining my x squares. Combine my x to the first. Ooh, my hand hurts. Okay, now let's get our x squares on, let's get everything over to the left. So subtract 20 x squared. Subtract 44x. Let's see, 44 minus 18. That is, oh, try that again. Minus 26x plus 15. The only way to get a 7x squared is a 7x and x. I have a positive product and a negative sum, so these both have to be minus. I need to get a 26, so why don't I put a 3 here and a 5 here? So that gives me negative 21 and a negative 5. There you go. So we get 5/7 and 3. Those are not showing up in my extraneous solutions. And you'll just have to trust me on this one, that those are the answers. All right, last page has some doozies. Let's go ahead and, well, 2 of them are pretty doozies. All right, let's do number 15. A couple ways to deal with this right-hand side here. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and distribute that through. Like, I'm just not going to deal with that. (16/2), like, just distribute. 16/2x is 8/x minus 16/x. All right, let's do this. X can't be 0 or 1. Oh, what do you want to do here? Yeah, let's go ahead and find that common denominator here. So we just have an x and an x minus 1. Okay, now you have to distribute it everywhere. Okay, so here I have the x minus 1, so that's just going to be 3x squared. 3x times x is 3x squared. Here I have the x, but I don't have the x minus 1, so that's going to be 4. I have the x. I could have put that together because it's common denominator. I probably should have done that. I have the x, so that's 8x minus 1. I have the x, so that's, be very careful here. That's minus 16x minus 1. Distribute. Combine like terms. I got a quadratic. Get everything over to the left-hand side. Add 8x. Subtract 8. I hope I didn't do that too fast. Oh yeah, this is factorable. Okay, so let's play around. Let's try 2 and 2. That's going to be 6 and 2. So positive, that gives me a positive 6. Yeah, positive 6 and a negative 2. 2/3 and a negative 2. Both of those are the solutions. All right, let's factor the bottom of, let me draw a little line here. Let's factor the bottom of this, x plus 2, x plus 1. All right, so common denominator of all of that is still x plus 2 and x plus 1. Restrictions, negative 1 and a negative 2. All right, so this first fraction is not going to change. This one, I have the x plus 2. I don't have the x plus 1. So that's 2x times x plus 1. Here I have the x minus 1s, and I'm going to have to FOIL that out. I have the x plus 1, so I just need to multiply those two. All right, let's distribute, combine some like terms. Let's get everything over to the left. Subtract x squared, subtract x, add 2. Extraneous solutions. All right. 2 more. And then we will be done with this. Okay. I don't do the same method for these that I would up above. I would do this like we did in the complex fraction part of adding and subtracting with like unlike denominators. And again, this is going to be a lot. Let me pull this up a little bit. It's not that hard, but it's just a lot. All right, so I'm going to put the top together. So common denominator is 5. So that'll be x plus 4 over 5 minus 15 over 5. I'm going to wrap that up in parentheses. Divided by, let's take care of the bottom. Common denominator is 10. So that's 5 over 10. I do not do these like the others. That's too much room for error. Too much foil. Yeah, I'm not doing it. Okay, so we have x minus 11 over 5. I didn't do domain restrictions. Let me wait till we can do it when we put this together. I don't have any variables in the denominator here, but this can't be 0, so I'll wait till I put this together. So what do we got? We got x plus 9 over 10. And so now I'll do my domain restriction now because something showed up. X cannot be a negative 9. Remember, when you're dividing fractions, you have to look at both denominators and then the numerator of your divisor. So if x is a negative 9, that's going to give me 0 here, and I can't divide by 0. Change to multiplication and flip. I can do a little reducing here. Sorry, hold on. You can do a little reducing here. I can cancel that, make that a 2. So that's 2 x minus 11 over x plus 9 equals negative 2. You can cross multiply it at this point if you'd like. That's negative 2x minus 18 equals 2x minus 22. Add 2x, add 22, and you get x is 1. That is the solution, by the way. Okay, let's do the same thing for this one. I can tell right off the bat that x cannot be 2, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. X can't be 2. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. X minus 2 is going to be the common denominator on the top. So that'll be 2x minus 2. On the bottom, the common denominator is 3 and x minus 2. So I have the 3. I need to multiply the top and the bottom by x minus 2. All right, I'll work on that domain in a second. Let's get some things together here. So that's going to be 3 plus 2x minus 4. Got a lot of foiling and whatnot to do here. So that's 6x minus 9 plus 2x squared minus 4x. That's what we got here. 2x squared plus 2x minus 9. Okay. Ooh, my hand hurts. All right. I really need to do the domain restriction of that. Actually, I can't do, I cannot do the domain restriction of this right now because it's not factorable. This is not factorable, so I would have to do like completing the square or the quadratic formula to find those. Let's see, b squared minus 4 times a times, no, they're just irrational. Our domain restrictions are irrational, and I'm not going to show that right now, but that's not factorable. So that probably just means we need to check our answers. All right, times 3 over x minus 2. It's a long problem. Okay, so that's going to be 6x minus 1. I just distributed that, or 6x minus 3. Didn't distribute very well, did I? Over 2x squared plus 2x minus 9 equals 1. Cross multiply. Get everything set equal to 0. Factor out of 2. Get a negative 1 and 3, and those are not extraneous solutions. And that's the solution. Those are the solutions. Okay, so I think it's good for you guys to know how to do these more challenge questions. Would I put them on an assessment? Probably not, but I think the point is that you are understanding how to get the common denominator. I mean, this is just continual review of finding common denominators when you're adding and subtracting. And up here, this was I guess it was on the other page. It had a lot of larger numbers, and it's not that big of a deal. But hopefully this will help if you need to go back and review how to do this. Okay. All right. Have a good one.